Historical Preservation Commission. Commissioner Shelley Hayes, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the commissioners.
Chairperson Clower. Vice Chairperson Seals.
Present.
Commissioner Hayes. Present. Commissioner Kloss.
Christmas present.
Commissioner Skoglund. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 1A, presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of this commission. The commission is prohibited by law from discussing issues not on the agenda brought to us at this time. Seeing no request to speak, we'll move to General Administration Function 1B, Commission Communications. Any communications among the commissioners? I did have a meeting with Lyle Jones with the Crocker Art Museum, speculative conversations about continuing our public art through sculpture. So that was an unofficial meeting. But item number 2, presentations, Community Center update, Scott Stanley Recreation Department.
Good evening, commissioners. How are we tonight?
Great.
Good. Well, I'm here for my annual to semi-annual, depending on the meetings, update on the community center, and just to kind of give you guys an idea of what we've been doing over there as it pertains to the arts. We have a number of amenities over there, as you're probably aware, between the theater, Black Box Theater, Gallery 1075, our art classes, and then even some of our special events that all relate in one way or another to the arts. So I'll kind of just go through this stuff. If you guys have any questions during, feel free to stop me and we can discuss, or we can do it afterwards, however you like to. So the first thing I'll talk about is our Black Box Theater. Currently, right now, as we speak, literally, the Splinter Group Theater Productions is over there putting the finishing touches on their new set. They're doing a British panto of it's a Cinderella mashup story, Cinderella Candyland mashup story, which actually opens tomorrow night. So we're pretty excited. It was a very wasn't last minute, but it kind of in the theater world where it came about just within the last month or so. They wanted to do this production, and we had the opening and got it all going, all put together. And they're going to do 10 shows and basically 10 nights.
Where are they based?
They are based out of Sacramento. Yeah, actually it's a brand new group. It's a group of colleagues, friends, professionals in and around the Sacramento City College group that have kind of splinter group off to do something on their own. So we're pretty excited about that. So that starts tomorrow night, the 16th, and they're typically, these British pantos are very entertaining. There are lots of audience participation. The lead role, whether it's male or female, is always played by the opposite sex. So a male lead will be played by a woman and vice versa. It's very entertaining and worth going to go see, absolutely. So that's tonight and right now. Going back a little ways, I'll basically be going back as far as around July of this year. We started off with our Young Actors Workshop, which we do every year now. It's becoming a yearly thing, and our registration has increased every year. So we're happy to see that continuing to happen. We're getting more and more interest in that workshop and getting the kids involved in some real basic intro acting experience. After that, we moved into a production of Nonsense by Runaway Stage Productions, which was all nuns played by men. It was a comedy. It was quite entertaining. That ran July 11th through August 17th. and had very good turnout. Let's see, we kind of fill in the gaps with some of our own stuff. So we had a family cinema night where we actually built a movie theater in there, built a screen, played a movie for the community. That was the Lego movie, and people seemed to really enjoy that. We also had a flamenco guitar concert. We partner with our teen programs here, and we do the dances there, Zumba parties. Some of this stuff's loosely arts related, but it's in the theater, so I just thought I'd clue you guys in on it. We partnered with a group and we put on this thing. I don't remember if we went over this last time or not, but the singer-songwriter forum, where it was a kind of a twofold thing where they would have a discussion panel on songwriting, and then the panel members would then put on a small concert afterwards. We did that over 3 different weekends in the summertime, and that went really well. We're looking to do it again next year as well, something of that sort. Let's see here. The West Sacramento Historical Society put on their annual fundraiser in the theater. It was a very well-done production, and it's called How the West Was Sung. And it was all just classic Western sung by a choir. And so the choir was dressed in real nice formal attire, but they sung these really fun Western songs. It was great, really well attended. The entertainment value was pretty high on that one. It was pretty good. And then we've also had some other rentals of the facility. Anything between the SAC Performing Arts came over and did a recital in there. We've had a couple groups come in and do some small filming projects, kind of using it as a sound stage. So pretty good variety of stuff going on. And lastly, we recently received a piano donation from the West Sacramento Historical Society. It's a beautiful upright Yamaha piano that they donated to the theater. Our only chore is to keep it running, keep it nice, and keep it playing. And it's been great. The Historical Society used it for their production, and they're going to be using it during this production here. So we're already getting some good usage out of it. And we've, in the couple of months that we've had it, so we're excited about that. It's a good thing to offer to potential renters to have that as an amenity for the facility. Hopefully, it'll attract some more clientele to the facility.
Scott, do you have any way of measuring of the participants in the programs that are running through the black box and the stage productions? Is there any way to measure where the audience? I mean, are they West Sac residents? I mean, what kind of local methods are you using to reach out to the community? And can you measure? What percentage might be residents?
Yeah.
What might be?
Well, so one of the
I
functions.
mean, you
of
can't really check ID. I get that.
Yeah. Well, and as the theater functions currently, we as the city don't handle any of the box office. So we don't. So if a renter comes in, which Runaway Stage Productions is a renter, we don't handle any of their money. We don't handle any of their ticket sales. So, we don't currently have that function. No. We can possibly talk to a renter to see if maybe we can add some kind of a question to their ticketing process of, can you give us your zip code, or where do you live, or something, or how did you hear about this, that kind of thing. Most of our advertising for the theater is kept local as far as the productions.
Like in the playbook, or how do you?
Yeah, playbook, website, Facebook, some of those kind of, real easy, quick ones. We also, whenever we do get, if it's an outside production, we kind of lean on them to provide materials, flyers and posters. So some of them are really good about that. They have real professional stuff done, and then we try to pass that along as much as we can. Some don't do any, and then we try to fill in the gaps the best we can as far as, at least getting some kind of a PSA or text information out on Facebook or in the local newspaper. Tomorrow, actually literally tomorrow, we'll be hanging a new banner that we just had made that's come see a show at the Black Box Theater, where it'll have the ability to have interchangeable taglines. So as the shows change, we'll change that tagline at a minimal cost, and the banner is kind of a one-time expense.
And for the Gateway?
Yeah, for Jefferson and Park there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll actually go up tomorrow.
The kids programming and the songwriters workshop. Any idea were those local kids, or were they kids from the region, or?
Yeah, the singer-songwriter was definitely a regional draw because of the, blanking on the name, Creative Music Industries was who we, I think Creative, Yeah, they're kind of a singer-songwriter group, and they're based more in the, what is the, American River College area. That's more of a regional draw. I know there were some local people that did come to see it because we interacted with them a little bit. The Young Actors Workshop does has a heavier local draw because we only advertise that to local kids. It's taught by Phil Stommel, who's
Right. Westside, used to be involved with the Westside Theater.
right, and now is the high school drama
Right.
teacher. So that's mostly West Sacramento kids. And the first year that was like 15, 16, it was 23 the second year. This year it was 27. And a good handful of those are repeat. A good core of those are repeat kids year after year. So that's something we like to see for, it's a short program. It only runs 4 weeks, but they keep signing up. So that's definitely a win for us.
The productions at the Black Box Theater, is there a method or how do you communicate that with the school district? How do you get that information out to families through the school district? Is there a channel for that to happen right now, or?
Directly to the school district?
For them to send it out to their kids in backpacks?
Yeah, well, the only avenue that I'm aware of to get to the school district is through our after-school programs. I've been informed not to take stuff directly to the school district as far as flyers on a mass scale. And, that's sometimes you're making however many thousands of flyers, and you're only going to
Sure.
get 10, 15 kids. That's kind of
Sure.
it can be tough. The other thing is sometimes the shows aren't children appropriate,
Like saying nonsense?
Yeah, right. And it is a rental house, so
Right.
there's kind of like this balance between what we're responsible for promoting and what they're responsible for. Like, we want to have people there, but it's their show, so we try to balance that as much as we can and do it the quick, easy, cheapest ways possible.
Scott, I've always
sir.
wondered how much, you probably might know this unless it was sort of intuitive, but how many folks come over from the other side of the river, the mainland, I call it? Is it
The mainland.
15%, 20%? People come over for art shows and
Yeah.
musicals and plays and things.
Um,
Any idea?
Do you mean specifically just in general with these
Yeah, in
things, or
general.
with the productions?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is there interest from the other side of the river to come over to the
Yeah.
community center for things?
Yeah, I think yes, I think the answer would be yes. I don't know a percentage offhand. The majority of the rentals we have for productions are theater companies that come from the Sacramento side. Because to my knowledge, there aren't any theater companies that reside in West Sacramento. It really is a facility too, from talking to theater professionals, that it is a regional attraction. And, we like to do what we can to bring outside talent into town.
It's awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah, whenever we can, we try to figure out if we can, even if it's a little bit of a price break on the rental, if we can do a buy one, get one half off for West Sacramento residents. That's something we always try. They don't always go for it, but we always try to kind of tee that up and see what we can get. So,
You're familiar with West Side Story? We should have a West Sac Story.
there you go.
Some local play
That's
group
good.
put that on.
Yeah. Well, we have a piano now, so perfect.
There could be music.
Well, that was the exciting part about the piano, is it opens up, because people were having a hard time getting pianos in the building and
'Cause you have
renting
to
it and the
take-
cost, and they always want to bring in grand pianos. It's not going to fit, because it's on the second floor, of course, so that's kind of tough. But this kind of clears a lot of that up, and it's a very nice piano. I don't play it, but it sounds nice.
I don't know if that's something we can commission, but shouldn't we have a West Sac song? There are Sacramento songs.
Are there?
Yeah, I know some songwriters who've written and proposed to the city council, but you could have your own, like you have the logo, you also
We
have
had
your
a
song.
West Sac, so there was West Sac State of Mind that
There you go.
Maureen Pasco wrote that it was kind of a rap. Well, I'll get it to you. You can. It's
There
not
you go.
official, but
You can hum a few bars at the next meeting.
it's kind of a rap, like.
Yeah, it's a play on a New York State of Mind, which was
Exactly.
a popular song done. Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions, theater-wise? One thing I do have to say is we're always trying to figure out new and different ways to share the theater space with people, as far as the fact that it exists. and trying to bring in new production companies or establishing continued relationships with other production companies. We're getting into a pattern with a handful of companies where they're calling us every year now because we're part of their season, where they'll do 4, 5, 6 plays in a season, and now one of them they'll do in our facility, which is great. It's a small location, so it is limiting in some ways, so they pick the perfect one that's suitable for our location. But we are working on new and different ways to try to get out the word, and memberships with the SARDA, Sacramento Area Regional, can't remember the name. It's an acting advocacy group, basically, that helps get the word out about the fact that the theater is there and that it's a rentable space. So we're hoping for more, bigger, and better for next year, definitely. Always. That's always the goal. So Gallery 1075, it's our nice little gallery we have there on the first floor, has had quite a good run with shows. We kind of flip-flop between allowing local groups, local kids after school, or like our after-school program, our Learning Ladder upstairs. We allowed them a month to come in and do a show, like kind of a juried art show, a juried on their level type of an art show. But we've also been able to attract some really nice work. Of course, David Seals came through a few months ago. Beautiful, beautiful photography. Seems like the last couple months, we've had 3 photography shows since July, which kind of is a little bit higher than normal, but they've been really, really nice shows. And actually the one going in January is also photography. It's a real nice landscape photography show. Our current one is an abstract oil that, if you haven't seen, is worth checking out. One of the highlights, of course, was this Instagram art show. I don't know if you guys heard about that at all, but we threw together this art show. And Andre, what was the hashtag? Was it just West Sac Fun?
Yeah, it was West Sac Fun, and I believe we're also doing hashtag July as Parks and Rec.
Right. So basically, we established a month prior to August, it was July, where you could take photographs of in West Sacramento, post them to Instagram, to our Instagram, or with our Instagram page, or at West Sac Fun, with that hashtag, and basically if it was within these certain dates, it was entered into this contest. We went through, we had quite a few entries. It was great. We actually had a lot more than I thought we would get. It took off. And we were able from that we thought we were just going to have 6 or 8 pieces. We ended up having more like, I think it was like 12 or 15 pieces total in the show, and it looked really nice. So it was local people taking pictures of local things in a local gallery, and it just turned out really good. In fact, I know Andre's gone to you've gone to some conferences and actually shared the program with other places. Not every department or Parks and Rec department is as accepting of social media. We kind of embrace it and try to do good things with it. And this was definitely a good example of that. We're really happy with the outcome. We were talking about doing one for the holiday, like some holiday lights, same kind of thing, but more of a holiday, lighting your house or your tree or that kind of thing. I don't know if that ever happened though. That wasn't as tied to the art gallery. That was more of a for fun kind of a thing. So let's see. So basically, we had a good second half of the year in the art gallery, and we are booked through June of next year currently, and we are accepting applications. So if anybody seeing this, hearing this, wants to, go to the website and apply there, or get the application and apply to us in person. But yeah, so we're free. We're open after June of next year, and we're definitely looking to fill in some of those months. So if you know any of the artists, feel free to send them our way. One of the things we do have coming up in February. Sorry, my bad. You guys awake? Apparently, you're not supposed to hit that. Coming up in February, we're working with a new group in town. They're newly forming. Their current name was West Side Presents, and they're kind of they're interested in entertainment and concerts and group of gatherings, festivals, things like that. Their kind of initial step into this arena is going to be it started with an art gallery, with our art gallery. In February, they're going to be bringing in essentially what amounts to a rock and roll, not Hall of Fame, but a rock and roll history of West Sacramento and some of Sacramento. That's going to be the show for the month of February. And then on February 7th, we'll do the opening. And that night, they're bringing in a band. I believe it's going to be Mike McGowan and the Mighty Delta Roadmasters. They'll be bringing in the band, and they're going to have, some adult beverages and things like that. It'll be a big kickoff for their concert aspirations, but it'll be a big kickoff for this art show. So it's kind of the first time we've done anything where the art gallery directly ties up into a full-blown concert in the theater. So it's kind of a new thing. It should be fun. So we also then offer a handful of leisure classes. Admittedly, we do need more of these, and we have been putting the word out as far as a call to artists, and also a call to instructors to try to bolster up our leisure classes as far as actual art is concerned, two-dimensional painting, drawing, things like that. But then also, singing, piano. Now that we've got a piano, guitar, things like that. We'd like to get some more classes going. We're not getting a lot of people applying to be instructors, so we're kind of brainstorming on trying to figure out how to get some more people to apply. Yes, sir.
Scott, people who are listening, are those paid the honorariums attached to the classes that the teachers teach?
Yeah, so essentially the way that it works, once we get past the application process and we agree we're going to do this class, we have a pretty simple process where the instructor, it's semi-negotiable depending on the class, but the base is an instructor is going to receive 65% of any fees collected. So when you have $20 a kid times 10 kids that show up, they're going to get 65% of that.
Doesn't Yellow Arts have several programs and instructors that they've already developed a program for, and they'll bring it into a community?
Yeah,
Seems like Danny.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have discussed that with them in the past. It's actually, that was when we first opened, so now we're going on 3-4 years. It is actually the direction I was going to go next, was to have that conversation with her again. Yeah, we discussed it when we first opened up, because that would have given us a handful of classes all at one time, all done by professional artists. It would have been really good. The details didn't work out logistically. It just kind of got, just didn't quite fit at the time. Now that we know the building better and kind of know what our needs are, that was actually.
And they have the collateral all together that can easily be distributed to the community. And
yeah, we are members of the Yellow Arts, so we do distribute our call to artists and our instructors wanted, call to instructors through them. We've had a lot of people call and be interested, but just nothing's quite developed yet. So we're continuing to work on that. Unfortunately, we've had a beginning guitar teacher with us almost since we opened, and he unfortunately has had to quit in the last couple months. So we've lost that class altogether. Looking to fill that one back, because that was a class we always had people registered in. It was very popular. So if you guys have any thoughts, ideas on where else we could look for instructors, we're definitely open to that.
did you check with the music program at the high school is really pretty impressive right now, and the gentleman who's running that program, Anthony, I think his name, he has good connections in the music teacher area. He might be he or Felicia might be a really good resource for that.
Okay, great. We'll get in touch with them. Thank you. And the classes we do offer, though, right now, of course, we have like I said, the Young Actors Workshop. The guitar class is not currently happening, but we're looking to bring that back. We do have a kids dance class we've had for quite a while. That's recently morphed into what the teacher's calling urban jazz. So it's kind of a progressive thing where we're moving it to more of a structured dance class instead of just kind of basic movements. And then our Young Picasso's class is going pretty strong. We had to, I say that, but we had to cancel last month due to a lack of enrollment. But it's kind of typical this time of year with the holidays, and, you know, things kind of go downhill a little bit, and they'll pick back up in January.
Who teaches that?
Her name's Yvette Hall. She's actually an arts teacher down in Clarksburg. Yeah.
No old Picasso program?
No old Picasso program. No, we would love to add one, though, if you know an instructor. You might be able to teach that. Not the old part, though. We've had a couple events. These are loosely arts, but I feel like there's actually a pretty strong arts component to them. We had the May the 4th event, and then we also had recently Quantum Con, right, Andre? That was the name? So both of these events they kind of spin around these sci-fi movies and TV shows, but a very large component of them is the what they call cosplay. Basically, it's costuming. So the participants come, and they come in completely homemade costumes that are impressive, to say the least. So I think that, to me, that's definitely an artistic expression, and it's something that we've kind of embraced. You know, I know we're already working on the new May the 4th, because May the 4th is not on a weekend, so it's going to shift to the Intergalactic Expo, right? So it's going to be more encompassing of all things sci-fi, so it'll be even crazier next year. So we'll have even more costumes. And then the Quantum Con, which is if you're familiar with, is a Doctor Who specific show event. So anyway, I just want to bring those up because the costuming part of it is just really a neat component, and it's definitely an artistic expression. That's all I got. Any questions?
So with the community center, when the community center was built,
Mhm.
and we commissioned a piece for the center, but in that commissioning, there were stages that were recommended. This is the first stage of public art in this building, and maybe then we had several sites within the building and without the building selected. And now that it's been 3 or 4 years, is it time to take a look
Sure.
at additional art for that structure? Or have we hit the point that would it be a matter of, we'd have art in empty spaces? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, are you getting the use that it's time to then take a look at
Yeah, so
advancing that?
what we had developed was our art plan,
Yeah.
which kind of dictated exactly what you're saying,
Right.
just that progression of potential locations. A lot of that, too, was driven as funds are available, you know, because we exhausted the initial funds that were allocated to that building for
Right.
that one large piece. I think it's always a time to look for more
I
art.
just think,
So,
specifically, I remember the
Absolutely.
whole projecting on that outside wall
yeah,
above and behind, and I think of
that
some
big
of the.
white one.
Yeah,
the one
and
right
some
here.
of the things that you're doing, and some of the cool ways to promote that,
Yeah.
you know, the
I don't know if, Andre, if you
May
know
the
more about
4th
that or
be
not,
with you.
but,
I mean,
yeah.
just,
I've heard discussion of using that more, and I'm not involved in it, so I don't know the details.
I mean, in many settings, that's public art, you know, the projection up on that wall, some kind of a.
Right.
And so, as I think about what you're doing and ways we could help, you know, both create a place that people would come by to see what was up on the big white wall, and then with an occasional commercial talking about what's going to be going on inside the big white wall,
Yeah,
it might be a really good setting for it.
sure.
But
Absolutely.
that was part of that art plan, yeah?
I
It was
feel
one
like
of the
it was. I
proposed
mean,
things.
yeah, there was.
I remember the design of the building, but it was the
Yeah.
expense tied to it.
Yeah, there was half a dozen different locations inside and out that we had identified as potential locations for public art. Yeah, I think it's always a good time to look to add more. So, I mean, it's definitely something we can do. I can talk to Bob, and I mean, some of it's funding, well, most of it's funding availability driven.
I just didn't want it to go away,
Right.
because I thought it was a well-planned
Right.
plan,
Yeah,
and
We spent some
reasonable
time
in
on
its
that.
expectation,
Right.
and brought a lot to the community, so
absolutely. We'll look into that.
get it out, blow it off, see what it says. Maybe
Right.
share it with, you know,
Right.
new commissioners the first of the year, might be nice.
Sure. Yeah, that's not a problem. Okay. Anything else I can answer?
Questions, commissioners?
Okay, and like I said before too, if you guys do in your daily lives come across artists, musicians, instructors, that kind of thing, don't hesitate to hand them if you can. If you don't, I can get you my cards, or if you want to just send them to the community center and they can ask for me. We greatly appreciate them.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, thank you guys. You thought I was going to use this, huh?
Yeah. Moving to the consent agenda, approval of the minutes for the July 1st special meeting, assuming that the commissioners have had an opportunity to review these. Are there any questions? And could we entertain a motion for approval?
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. So approved. Item 4 on the regular agenda, painting donated to the city for display. Andre Pitchley, Recreation Superintendent. And his able-bodied assistant.
This is really heavy.
Good evening. He is my Vanna.
Yeah.
Commissioners, wanted to share with you a painting that had been donated. Scott had actually been the staff person who received the painting. It is a 2003 Roger Ewers. I think we can articulate it that way, right? I don't know if it's a rare edition or anything like that, but it appears to be just a painting of the port, and was donated anonymously to the city for us to put on public display. So we wanted to share this with you and let you know that our plans are to find a location within City Hall where residents who come into the building are able to view it and appreciate it. The exact location in the building is yet to be determined, but I'm thinking somewhere up around here on the second floor, just outside the council chambers. So it's really more information, but if you have any advice or any suggestions for where it might be displayed and how, we were thinking just hanging it as is somewhere where it could be easily viewed. We're not thinking about an investment in any sort of lighting or new framing, but that's really what we've got right here.
Can you give us any background on the artist?
I don't have any background on the artist, but maybe Scott or Kavita might, because I know Kavita actually looked up the artist on the website. Pardon? He's out of Davis.
He's out of Davis.
Out of Davis. But I don't know that we know much more about it other than it
Is
was.
he living?
That I don't know. Scott
Yes.
says he believes so, but he does have a website, and so we are now the owners of a painting of the Port of West Sacramento.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so it'll go into the inventory of public art.
Yes. Yes,
For the
we
city.
will add it. It'll be pictured in there, and Scott and I will work on a location within City Hall, pending the approval of the city manager's office.
Great,
All right.
great.
Scott has information on the artist.
Do tell.
Thanks to technology, I can tell you that Roger Ewers was born in Seattle, raised in Oakland, and currently resides in Davis. And he is a graduate at UC Davis and works in geographic information systems. He's studied painting at UC Davis and Sacramento State and has taught oil painting at the Davis Arts Center. His paintings have been exhibited in several galleries and venues throughout the Sacramento region in Southern California. And his website's really nice if you have a chance to look at it. He's got quite a bit of really nice work that's all landscape like this.
What's the
Great, thanks, Scott.
It is rogerewers.com.
Is there any way to invite him over to thank him in a small ceremony or something?
How does the city
I'll-
usually relieve these?
I will answer
issues?
that. Since the painting was purchased from him, I don't know that there'd be much point in thanking him for it, although we could certainly ask him to come over
So-
and just let him know that we've hung one of his paintings. But again, it was donated anonymously from the person that purchased it from him.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then are you also item number 5?
I am item number 5.
Joey Lopes Park Art Component.
So this is a park that's been in the process of being developed since about 2007, when it was dedicated to the city via the lower northwest interceptor. The city submitted an application to statewide park development and community revitalization program in 2010, and in 2011, the city signed the grant award, and we got over $4 million for the development of the park. Then the decision had to be made, what are we going to, what's this park going to be named? And the Parks and Community Services Commission put together their committee to review submittals for names for the parks, and Joey Lopes Park was selected. The reason we brought this report to you is we are looking for some direction on how we could include public art as part of this park. One of the thoughts of the director, Bob Johnston, was that perhaps something with a boxing theme might be appropriate, since Mr. Lopes was a Olympian, the 1948 Olympics. He was a boxer for the U.S. Olympic team, and is an inductee in the California Boxers Hall of Fame, and that happened in 1975. So the thought was that a boxing-themed art installation might be appropriate. So we're looking for some ideas or suggestions on what you might like to see out there.
And the park design is complete?
The park design is complete.
Is there
Looking
a
at
designated area that we might?
No, I don't know that there's a designated area for this, and I mean, it doesn't have to be any sort of specific art, like it doesn't have to be a bronze statue, but it could be. It doesn't even have to be a physical representation of him. It could be something that just speaks to boxing, where we could mention on the piece or reference the piece as honoring him. I think the idea here is that, what would you like to see out there? What would be cool? Bob and I had talked about something that might be interactive, where people might go up and be able to, be in a, anytime you create something where people want to be photographed next to it, that's pretty cool.
Right.
And that's how you can develop the reputation of that piece, of that park, of this community, having something like that. So that's what we were kind of wondering, if you wanted to give some thought as to what might be out there.
Could I ask a couple technical
Sure.
kind of questions? So the $4 million grant for this park, does this, so then was 1% of that budget set aside for purposes of a public art piece?
Yeah, it would be $41,000. The price tag on the park is $4.1 million.
And those funds currently are in the public art fund?
I believe they are.
Okay.
I'll have to check, but I believe they are.
And then I think there is in fact a process that was approved for seeking artists and installation. And so the plan is then suggestion for kind of conceptual ideas from us, and then you'll put it out, you'll follow the prescribed process?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, if
great.
you wanted to give us a couple of suggestions, just to send us off in the right direction, then what we would do is we would let an artist know, and this would be done through Scott, that, our Arts Commission came up with these ideas. We'd like you to come up with some renderings of what those pieces might look like in the park, and let an artist do their craft in design.
So there'd be a call for artists then?
Yes.
So either Danny with the Yellow Arts
Sure,
Commission.
yeah,
with
exactly.
Yellow Arts would send out a call for artists. And
Right,
so
right.
you're looking for input right now to design the call for
Yes.
artists? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Joey Lopes still alive?
No, he passed away.
Passed away.
his, I believe it was either his son or his grandson was really the driving force behind getting it named after Joey.
Well, and part of the warp and fiber of this community, really, one of the very famous individuals, and their family's been here for generations, so it's
Yeah.
definitely.
And I believe Bob also suggested that maybe some input from the family on what they might want to see out there as well might be useful.
How large is this park? I'm not familiar with.
This park, I believe, is about 4 to 5 acres, and I'm looking here to see if we included that. I don't think we did. But if you're familiar with the property, it's bordered by Evergreen on the south, West Capitol on the north, and then Sycamore runs parallel to it on the east side from West Capitol to Evergreen. And then it's on the west side of the park, it has homes and apartments. Yeah,
Okay.
Broadway Auto sits on the west side.
yeah. Yeah.
It's the park then that was.
Yeah. It's a very linear park.
It's a
not
long, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a very wide park.
There'd been conversation about the farmer's market being there at one point. That- yeah.
If it's linear, maybe we should make it a big arm and so when an airplane flies over, you have a boxing glove. So
You know,
to shake
and
the
and
bush.
that's the type of thinking I think that we're looking for, is what could we do that would be a little different? Because we can always put a bronze statue out there, but, you know, this is our opportunity to come up with something a little more creative, and then, you know, like you said, the call for artists, see what those submissions are that come in.
And then they'll bring that back to this group for review.
Yes.
And we'll follow the regular.
Yes.
You know, like you, I believe my personal opinion is that public art should be able to engage the public. And and art should be accessible to the entire public. So I tend to lean, because of a personal bias, that art that can be touched, that art that might make sound, that art that might be the photo opportunity. And we have some really diverse pieces, you know. We've got the big old elephant tusk.
Yeah.
You know, we have really diverse pieces, and even the pieces on West Cap, the baseball players, they've become, I watch people bring their kids out there and stand them up next to it.
Yeah.
And they've become the marker of how big the kid is getting, or the big bike out on the Riverwalk.
Right, right.
So things that create plays and that bring people to an area. you
Yeah,
know,
and to your point, we put Christmas lights on the baseball statues, so we have a little bit of fun with them, and people get their pictures taken next to it.
Right.
I've ridden down Riverwalk with my wife, and she sat on top of that big bike and got her
Right.
picture taken, so this is exactly what we're looking for.
You know, the pieces that we assisted the county with in the selection process in front of the library, you know, kids stand and use it as a measurement, or they sit and wait and rest there, you know, clever ways to engage the public. So a bronze statue is a really lovely thing. I don't know how interactive it is.
Right.
But I think a plaque that talks about the intent and the heart of it. is
And
well served.
I think it's, while we could always look at a bronze statue or a plaque as the public art, we could probably do that anyway, but to create something artistic, something really creative and different out there, that opportunity's lost if we don't take advantage of it now.
I agree. Yeah.
I love the idea with it, you know, if the planes, you know, landing at SAC International, of something that they could see from the air. I don't know if that's possible at this size, but I think there's so many great things that they're doing with art these days. My first thought was in Chicago, I don't know what it's called, but they have the big towers that light up and the faces come on, and so there's a lot of movement in the art piece and everything. And again, it's one of those things that people want to have their picture taken with because it's so
Right.
new. But again, with something like that, just the upkeep with the piece, I'm sure is
There's the maintenance.
nominally
Yeah.
expensive, yeah.
But you know, it's also an opportunity as we expand the public and private improvements along West Cap down towards Harbor, at Sycamore Park is a good place. There are generations that have lived in those neighborhoods. And
So perhaps since,
I'd hate to be too binding
right,
about it.
Right.
But, the classic bronze statue probably wouldn't be my first thought.
right,
But
it's a little cliche. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm thinking of in Philadelphia, the Rocky statue at the top of the
Right.
the steps.
Right.
That's been done. And this may be more where we, once we give the artists in the RFP, once we give them kind of the direction that we want them to go, we just let them have at it and see what they come up with. And
That's always been the most successful.
Yeah.
I mean, the piece out at IKEA, that clearly, we got everything from paintings in concrete to, to sculpture. It's an easy trap to think of public art as being solely, a statue, a sculpture, as something that people, and I fall into it pretty easily
Right.
as well. But-
So perhaps you could just tell us what it is in a piece you would like to see, maybe not so much what the piece would look like, because that's going to really restrict an artist, but, what would some of the things be that you would want an artist to try and accomplish through his piece, her piece?
Joey Lopes was the first of many really successful light and middleweight boxers that have come out of West Sacramento. And it's at the rec center, there was that really awesome display. So something about the Pride, there was a police athletic league boxing group that I know Sue McGowan was really involved in. So, that as community building, I don't think it necessarily has to be specifically about the Lopes family, but
Okay.
that there is a proud history in West Sacramento
Okay.
with boxing.
So would you agree that you want it to be boxing themed, or do you not want it limited to boxing?
I think you could use so much because when I think of boxing, I think of like movement and,
Okay.
even if you get a piece that has movement to
Right,
it.
so
to
movement,
loosely-
that would be important.
Yeah, put into, to
Right.
simply,
And it sounds
boxing.
like we agree that engagement might be
Definitely.
something engaging, something that people could interact with and touch, as you said.
That we
Okay.
could afford to maintain.
Yeah,
Afford to maintain,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
always important.
Because, like neon, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there was a conversation that at one point, that as West Cap went down, there in the West Cap plan, there are a couple spots for turnarounds, and that in those turnarounds, we might use neon from some of the old built, but, that's expensive to maintain, and you have to be able to protect it, and there
Right.
needs to be more activity around it than there is right now.
Okay.
You can even shape bushes in the shape of a boxing glove. I've seen
Sure.
bushes
Sure.
shaped, and so you
Topiary,
sculpt that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sure. Mhm.
keep it boxing.
Topiary garden, that would be interesting.
Of course,
Have we given
maintenance, there's the maintenance of that,
Right.
but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that enough?
I think that's enough direction, unless there's anything else you want to.
I mean, this community has a really long history of very successful boxers, but athletic activity, altogether. But I think that in that neighborhood, it would be really, down by Lopes Trailer Park, it would be really appropriate to have something
Okay.
to give tribute to him.
Okay.
And what is it that they used to call boxing? The gentleman's art, what is that?
The
You
art
know
of
what I'm saying?
pugilism, the
No, you know what they used to.
sport of kings, I
Yeah,
have no
the Sport
idea.
of Kings, something like that, yeah.
Really
But,
don't know.
Something along those lines
Right,
would be great.
okay, all right.
John, are you with us? You
Yes.
think, yeah?
I just drew the park, that's all.
Okay. So what will be the next steps planned with this?
We will go back and talk with our director, and Bob will most likely give direction for us to go out and do an RFP for artists.
I mean, you'll bring it back to this group?
Yes.
Or I think typically, there's a slate that's involved. People review the initial, and then there's a selection of maybe 2 or 3, and they come back to this group. But I don't really remember the details.
Yeah,
of
and I'm not
those.
sure I remember the details. Scott will probably be
Right.
the one that handles the RFP, as he has with some of the other art as he did with the,
Sure, the
the
community
piece
center.
over in the community center, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Great, that's good.
All right,
That's a good thing. And we do have an inventory, yes?
yes, we do.
Okay. Great,
All
thank
right,
you very much.
thank you.
So item number 6, general admission function. Do we have a copy of the calendar for meetings for the upcoming year? Or was that in an earlier piece? Michelle?
Hi, we have, the next meeting is planned for Monday, March 30th. And if we have resolution, then the other dates will be approved.
So so this group will next meet March 30th, and would we anticipate that we'll have something back on the status of the Lopes Park piece? Great.
Yes, we will try to have something back for you then.
And then, but we don't have the calendar dates for the rest of the year, is that what I'm understanding?
We do have the potential dates, but they just have not been approved yet. The potential dates would be June 29th, September 28th, and December 14th, if approved at the March 30th meeting.
I understand. Okay, great. It's for calendaring purposes, even until we get them approved, it's great to have them on the
Exactly.
calendar. So March the 30th, June the 29th, September 28th, and December 14th.
That is correct.
Great, okay, great, thank you. And then, future items. So I'm curious what the balance currently is in the Public Art Fund, you know, and if there are, maybe for the March meeting, and if there are anticipated, because we built maintenance into most of those contracts, and I know that at least the benches in the little park off or near out there with the geckos that keep disappearing, and I'm just wondering if there are maintenance costs that we should be aware of, or what the real Public Art Fund currently is. And so the bridge, the McGowan Bridge, is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And just amazing to me that we have another bridge that is going to completely open up a side of the community that we haven't, never had access to. In the original bridge plans, that when redevelopment started having the conversation about that bridge, they brought plans to us that included some public art funds for things like, the side of the bridge or cutouts, or Val brought it to us a long time ago. And I know that it was a different bridge now and a different plan, but since it was the first named bridge of someone who still fogs a mirror, and Supervisor McGowan is such an incredible impact in this community. I'm curious about if there's opportunity for some kind of a public art piece at one end of that, of the landing of the bridge or the other. I know that the city owns a property on at least the north side, where the city yards are. And maybe it doesn't happen right away. Maybe it's just something that much like that tree out front, we just designate a space for it and hope it grows. But the conversation, I think about some of the great metal art that we have coming out of West Sacramento. Terrence does amazing stuff. We have a bike that someone else commissioned. Could we look at something along those lines? I don't know how we designate if that can happen in a place, but it's going to be, that bridge is a placemaker. People are going to use it. When Village Parkway goes through, it will become the biking, walking link that enables us to go from almost Clarksburg all the way up to, to Jefferson and the freeway. So I'm just wondering, like for future agenda items, if we could take a look at that, depending on how much money we've got and how much money we need to spend. And, it's just public buildings that generate that fund. And we don't know when the next big project will happen, but I'm suspecting with all the movement on the Pioneer Bluffs on city property that's going to have to go and live somewhere, that there might be opportunity then to tap into that contribution for something at that bridge, but that's just me speculating. Does that make sense? Or, do you know? John, yeah. But that would be a future agenda item, or 3 agendas from now, or just something I was hoping to get into the record so that I don't forget about it, so. Anything else, commissioners? Anything else that you'd like to, for future agenda items? Okay, great. On behalf of the commission, thanks to the staff for the great work that you do supporting this commission. Your ability to think on your feet, to be flexible, to have a sense of humor. We appreciate that. We're a creative bunch. We go sideways sometimes. We have great holidays and a really lovely 2015. And on that, motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, there is a motion to adjourn.
And a second?
I'll second it.
So adjourned.